Hi, my name is Dee Appeline and I'm going to tell you about 7 magic keys that I have identified have helped me on my journey through life. They're keys to connecting with how I create my own experience and how I create my life as I want to create it. Keys that are helping me to connect with my own infinite abundance. Keys that are helping me to be fully in my power. And keys that are helping me, I believe, on my journey to enlightenment. And what I mean by that is they are keys that are helping me to shine a light in all those places that I haven't wanted to go. All those places where I have felt uncomfortable looking at me or myself or my life. And actually, I believe our journey here is to come and understand all of ourselves. And that's what enlightenment is truly about. So these 7 magic keys are keys to help you on your journey to your own creative abundance, to your own empowerment, and also to your own enlightenment. The first key is the key to conscious awareness, and I'm going to tell you 3 things about conscious awareness. Firstly, I'm going to tell you what I understand about why we're here, what the purpose of life is. Secondly, I'm going to tell you what I mean by conscious awareness and how we can become more consciously aware. And then thirdly, I'm going to tell you about what we can do with that conscious awareness once we have it. So first of all, the purpose of life. I believe that life is one big adventure. It might not feel like it a lot of the time for many of us, but that ultimately life is designed to be an adventure. And that adventure is a journey of discovery where we get to learn about ourselves and we get to learn about how we can create our own reality. And what's happened, as I understand it, is that we have an infinite amount of power. We have an infinite amount of abundance. We can literally create anything. But we come here to the earth and experience what it's like to not have that. And then we go through a journey of reconnecting with it. And that's the adventure. The adventure is literally finding all those different ways in which we've given away our power or come to believe that we're not creative, that we're not infinitely powerful, that we're not amazing. That, to me, is what we're here to do. That's the purpose of life. It's to come to our own true infinite abundance, to understand that we are the creators of our reality, and to learn to remember how we do that. So conscious awareness, what do I mean by that? I basically mean that it's becoming fully aware of all of the thought processes, the beliefs, the feelings that we carry, because once we're aware of them we can do something about them. I believe that the ways in which we've had our power hidden from us is, so that we can find it, is by making sure that we have these limiting thoughts. Some people call it ego. People have different labels for it. Those voices in our head that tell us that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy enough, that we can't do certain things, we can't afford certain things. I believe those voices have a purpose, and it's quite common in spiritual circles particularly to hear people say, oh, just ignore those voices. But actually, as long as we're ignoring them, I think, they still have power. So by becoming consciously aware, we then have a choice. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by those voices and those thoughts and those feelings. And there's a little exercise, a very, very short one, that you can do. All it takes is getting a piece of paper and a pen. If you'd like to do that now, I'm going to give you 3 affirmations, or I'm going to say 3 things to you that I believe are true about you. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down your very first immediate response to each of those 3 things. Try not to censor things, because you will want to censor what you think probably. Write down your first immediate response. Okay? So the first thing I want to say to you that I believe is true of you is that you are beautiful. Now write down what your first immediate thought and response to that is. You are beautiful. So the second thing that I'm going to tell you that I believe to be true about you, and again, write down your response to this, is that you matter. You matter. And the third thing I'm going to say to you is that you are perfect. And again, write down what your first thought to that is. You are perfect. Now, on your piece of paper, you should have 3 different responses to those 3 statements that I have made. Now, what I find most commonly when I do this in groups is that very few people, if any, have written 3 loving statements or 3 statements that agree with what I have said. Now, what I'd like you to do is to have a look at your piece of paper and identify how many loving statements that you have given in response to mine, or how many statements you've given that agree. So you might have said, of course I'm beautiful, or of course I'm perfect. And to me that's also a loving response. It's a statement that agrees with that comment. It's so common, even for people who have been on this path for a long, long time, becoming consciously aware. It's so common for people to literally only have maybe 1, usually no loving responses to those 3 statements. What you have written down, if you've written an unloving response, is a program, is a belief, is a thought, is a feeling about yourself that you have been brought up to have. You've been designed to have it. You've been designed to have it for a purpose, so that you can stay in this adventure as long as possible, so that you can stay as disconnected from your own power, as disconnected from your full creative abilities, to stay as disconnected as possible from your total infinite abundance. They have a wonderful purpose to them. They stop you from connecting with what you're able to do. So that's what conscious awareness is about. It's about connecting with and becoming aware of those limiting thoughts and beliefs and feelings that we all carry, but that they're so well hidden from us that we don't even notice that they're there. The third thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to tell you what we can now do with that. Once we become consciously aware, we have a choice. Caroline Mace says something really beautiful in that she says that with that choice is an even greater force than love, because with choice we can choose to be loving. And I really connect with and resonate with that. Once you become consciously aware, you can choose whether you continue to allow that belief to be true for you, or that feeling or that thought, or you can do something about it, you can change it. And I'm going to give you an example of how I became consciously aware for the first time. And it was about 18 months ago, and I've got a very small boy, and he was a really, really small boy at the time. He was really little in his buggy, and he was having an afternoon nap, and we were down by the seafront where I live, and it was a really nice sunny day. Now, I normally, when I go out in the summer, wear a short dress but with a pair of baggy trousers underneath, because I've always believed and seen myself as someone who's got chubby legs. I've been told by others I've got chubby legs. I've always thought I can't get my legs out in public, so I don't, or I haven't anyway, until about 18 months ago. And then I found myself sitting by the beach, took my trousers off because it was quiet, no one could see me, just to give them a chance to get a bit of the sun. And after a while I decided to get up and go for a walk. Now normally excuse me, normally I would have put my trousers back on, but a voice very clearly said to me, no, don't put them back on, walk into town, those 2 miles into town, with your legs out. My initial response was, oh no way, I can't do that at all. I can't let the world see my legs. They're my legs. No one wants to see those. But I thought I'd take up the challenge, and I did it. Now, this might not sound like a big deal to you, but to me it was massive, because for those 2 miles, all I could hear was the limiting voices in my head saying, oh, you shouldn't really have your legs out. Look, people are looking at you. Look, they're staring at your chubby legs. I was so convinced, in fact, that someone was going to shout out to me at some point and say, oi, chubby legs, you know, kind of some young passerby just thinking they were being funny. And I was so convinced someone would shout to me and ask me what I was doing, that I took myself through a journey of thinking about what I would say in response if someone did that. Excuse me. And I came to the conclusion that if someone did say that to me, my response to them, eventually that my response to them would be, they're beautiful. That was the point at which I became consciously aware. And ever since then I've become aware of the limiting thoughts that I have, and I've had a choice. I have a choice now about whether I continue to allow them to have power over me. I happen to use something called theta healing to do it, but there are so many other different ways of doing it. For me, I believe the most important thing is to become consciously aware, and then the rest will come. So that is the first magic key. It's the key to conscious awareness.